Your smartphone promises to identify anything you point its camera at: plants, animals, stars, and yes, mushrooms. Apps like iNaturalist, Seek, and specialized mushroom identifiers have become incredibly popular among foragers. They seem like perfect tools: instant identification, no expertise required, technology solving an age-old problem. There's just one critical issue: they're dangerously unreliable for determining whether mushrooms are safe to eat. The technical limitations are fundamental, not just temporary problems that better AI will solve. Machine learning algorithms train on datasets of mushroom photographs, learning to recognize visual patterns. But mushroom identification legitimately requires information that photographs cannot capture. You need a spore print, the color of spores deposited when a mushroom cap is left overnight on paper. This single characteristic distinguishes between edible and deadly species that otherwise look identical. No photograph shows you spore color. You need to physically create the print and weight. Microscopic features matter enormously. The exact shape, size, and ornamentation of individual spores, visible only under microscopes, are often the definitive identification characteristics. Cell structure and cap tissue, the presence of particular cell types, these microscopic details are what expert mycologists use for certain identification. Chemical tests involve applying reagents to mushroom tissue and observing color changes. Different species react differently to compounds like potassium hydroxide, iron salts, or ammonia. These reactions reveal chemical composition that's invisible to cameras. Habitat, season, and geographic range are contextual factors AI struggles with. A mushroom that's safe in Europe might have a deadly lookalike in North America. Seasonal timing affects which species are likely. The specific trees nearby matter for species that form symbiotic relationships with roots. Testing popular apps reveals alarming error rates. Researchers have submitted photographs of known deadly species and received confident misidentifications as edible mushrooms. Death caps identified as edible species. Destroying angels mistaken for harmless mushrooms. The apps don't express appropriate uncertainty. They provide confident-looking results even when they're completely wrong. User reviews contain chilling reports. I ate what the app said was safe and ended up in the hospital. The app confidently identified my mushroom, but when I showed it to an expert, they said it was toxic. These aren't isolated incidents, they're patterns. The liability gap is significant. Apps include disclaimers: for entertainment purposes only, not for consumption decisions. Consult an expert before eating any wild mushroom. These legal protections mean developers aren't responsible when their apps contribute to poisonings. But the marketing implies utility for foragers, and users interpret 93% match confidence as permission to eat. Alternative resources exist that actually provide safety. Regional mushroom societies hold identification events where you bring specimens for expert examination. University Extension mycology programs offer workshops and consultation services. These organizations connect you with people who've spent decades studying fungi, who own microscopes and chemical reagents, who understand the limitations of their own knowledge. The fundamental limitation is this: mushroom identification integrates macroscopic appearance, microscopic spore and tissue characteristics, habitat context, seasonal and geographic information, chemical test results, and sometimes DNA analysis. It's a comprehensive evaluation requiring multiple types of data collected over time. An app processes a single photograph in seconds. It cannot possibly replicate the depth of analysis required for confident identification. It's not just that current apps aren't good enough, it's that the entire approach is fundamentally inadequate for the task. Expert mycologists spend hours on difficult identifications. They consult reference materials, compare specimens to herbarium collections, discuss with colleagues, and still sometimes conclude they cannot definitively identify a species without DNA sequencing. That's the appropriate level of humility and caution for something where mistakes are fatal. Apps provide false confidence. They give you an answer when the honest response should be, "I cannot determine this from a photograph alone." They make mushroom identification seem easier than it is, encouraging people to trust themselves with inadequate information. If you're going to eat wild mushrooms, you need expert mycological confirmation from a human specialist with access to laboratory equipment. Not an app. Not crowdsourced identifications from social media. Not your own best guess based on guidebook photos. An actual expert examining the actual specimen with the actual tools required for identification. Anything less is gambling with your life.